welcome to the Waking Up From Work podcast. My name's Dave Swillum. Let's get ready to hustle.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Waking Up From Work podcast. Today, you're listening to episode 40, and this should be the first episode of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. We took a week off to recharge and to really hang out, goal set, get a very clear idea of what 2020 looks like for us, and we're back at it. Still going weekly right now. Really excited to hit this whole year weekly with you and get more content than we ever have out and about. We are actually now scheduled, so every Thursday we're going to be recording this, which means that we can consistently give you a live feed from it instead of just on the cuff whenever we're able to. We have a little bit better schedule now in our lives, so every Thursday night at around 7 p.m., I'd say probably 7:30 is more likely. You can see these live when we're recording them if you want to catch a sneak peek before it comes out on Monday at 7 a.m. And we're really excited. For those of you who haven't joined, we have a Facebook group now called Waking Up From Work Podcast, Connecting Creatives. Have about 60 people in there right now, and people are just sharing what they're up to more. And probably once a month, we're going to do like a Facebook Live in there and just talk out whatever situations people are facing that we're not aware of, or maybe our guests haven't brought to our attention, and really dive into what some of you are doing out there. So thank you so far, the people that have jumped in there. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to growing that and talking with you more this year. If you want to find out more audio stuff, because you know that I'm an audio dude and you want to talk that more than we do on here, I encourage you to go on over to crawlspaceaudio.com, started a blog there, and I'm offering videos and information on home recording, things to do for DIY artists to help you with touring and music licensing and music biz and all that jazz. I didn't mean that pun, sorry for that. Today we're going to talk about keeping your day job, which I know is super contrary to what we usually talk about and preach. But Ryan and I really, wanted to sit down and tell you that it's totally cool and it's actually good that you have a day job, because as long as you're using it in the right way. So first of all, we always say if you like your day job, then you kind of won, and that's awesome, and keep that and do that forever, and that's good for you. If you don't like it, which I know a lot of people don't, are you using it as a tool, or is it just a way to survive, right? So if you're in a position where it's just a way to survive and you're really having a hard time with finance, then go check out one of our prior episodes, Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck, and go over some of the things that I talk about more in finance for that, targeted towards it. But I recently got a new day job that's going to make a lot more income for me. And it's also something I think I'm going to like a lot less. But the point of this is if you're going to have a day job, use it as a vehicle to get you to where you want to be at really strategically. So this year I got something that it may not be the best, most fun thing to do on the day-to-day or topic that I think is the most interesting. But because my outcome that I want to get to isn't in any specific organization, then what it is needs to serve me towards getting me to my goal. Think of it as how you're trying to get promoted at a day job, only your promotion is firing your boss, right? So today we talk about why it's good to have a day job and not jump too early, and what some of the things look like, when you're thinking about it, when you're not doing it, everything that goes into the decision-making process of what does this serve me to do, and how do I plan for when it doesn't make sense anymore. But for us right now, it makes a whole lot of sense for pretty much the whole year, really, to be doing this. and we're excited for what it's going to be able to do for our businesses, for our creative content, and for this podcast. So happy to have you guys. Let's hit it.
I just want to chug that, but I don't.
Don't chug it. Good. Don't chug it.
Just don't get lightly tipsy just right at the beginning of the podcast.
Do you want to tell while I'm just getting levels here? Do you want to tell people what we're talking about today?
Okay, yeah. So everybody, what we're going to talk about today is like how and when to be quitting your job, and then like good reasons to not quit your job. So that's what we're on about today.
Yeah. So. All right, I'll give it an official intro because
I just talk. I don't articulate well. I'm the voice that I can make it all sound good.
You do it, dude. You've heard this enough.
What am I doing?
Kick us off.
Oh, geez.
Look at this. We got people on Facebook probably shitting on you.
You think? Are you guys?
I don't know.
Dave, you know that this is how the internet works. You're going to have people on the internet start berating me in the comments.
No, they'll go after me for hating on you.
No, they really won't. They will go right after me.
All right. I will start over. For those of you who are already on, my bad. We took a week off, all right?
Yep.
We're rusty. Welcome back to the Waking Up From Work podcast. You're listening to episode 40 today. First episode in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Took a week off. Hung out. We're back. Mm-hmm. We're starting back up here.
The batteries are recharged.
And what's happening today is going to be an episode, obviously, with Ryan and I. No guests. Bro time.
Mm-hmm.
Resetting for the new year.
Yep.
Just hung out the other week with Nourish Mindful Events and went to one of their events to do some yoga and meditation and eat some veggie foods and reset. And that was awesome, dude. I like goal set with them, you know. I felt very New Year-esque, you know, so
new meditation style. Yes.
Hashtag New Year, new me
for 8 and 9 minutes.
So,
New Year, new me until this weekend. Then I have stuff to do.
I wanted to today we're kind of like re-trajectifying.
Coin that one fucking made up word.
That's real, man. We're putting out our new trajectories of kind of like where Ryan and I are at. So what's going to happen is today we're talking about if you ever heard the expression "don't quit your day job, kid." You know, we started this a little bit on the Facebook group saying like, how do you know when to jump?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer today for you guys is not going to come perfect from us because neither Ryan or I have done like a full jump really.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I came out of school, I took 6 months to like just go for it in the worst way like I literally had nothing.
Yep.
And obviously that failed,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, fuck, I need to not do that. So then I got a job and I started like trying to build in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently this year, I had 2 months where I had zero income. And every day I was on the edge and I was like, maybe this is the time where I jump. Maybe this is the sign that I'm just supposed to go.
Yeah.
And the way that life's turned for me is, you know, my wife got into vet school, which we talked about in one of the other episodes. That put us down to a single family income for me and her. So now I support her, support myself. And it put me in a situation where I really have to be more tactical with my finances and how I'm planning to do things more than I ever had to be. And in the non-patient side of me is spiteful of that, being like, you know, what the hell? You know, I want to just go for it. I'm ready. I've got the right head for it. I'm ready to wake up in the day and have that like discomfort. I don't care about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready in my head right now.
Yep.
But being responsible for another person's food on their plate and housing and life, right? And I don't even have kids. So God bless all you entrepreneurs out there who have kids and do it. Like, you're unreal. I know we're probably going to talk about that soon too.
Yeah.
But that is forcing me to mitigate risk like an animal. And that's what this year is about for me. I took And Ryan's going to talk about kind of his story about where he's at and what he's doing too. But for those that haven't been tuned in on me, I was working at a company that I hated, doing stuff that I hated. And a lot of things in life changed with Meg going to school and everything. I had to change anyway. I jumped into doing live sound, and I was like, I want to do this. Like, I took a big pay cut so that I could do something that I wanted to do every day, because I wanted to love the process, and I still wanted to go towards the goal. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. And unfortunately, I still didn't like my job because I wasn't meant to have a job. And so I took this pay cut. I did this big change so that I could do something that I thought I would like during the day. And ultimately, I ended up taking this pay cut that wasn't serving financially to get me to the goal of working and living on my own. And it stunted me.
So you were still kind of like, you're still suffering, but just in a different way, but equally.
Yeah. It's like,
where it's like, oh yeah, I really thought that taking this pay cut would, refund itself in the mental soundness and
yes. And have
like
me
the
stay
positive
fresh all the
affirmation
time
that I would get from working with within more within the field and within the scope of what I actually wanted to do. And
yes.
It's like, isn't it so funny sometimes how that like works, where you like you think like what it'll take to make it kind of turn around, and you're just like, oh yeah, like that's totally worth the pay cut,
right?
And then you're in that and you're like, oh, the thing that I thought was gonna be happening, it's like it is happening but not nearly as much, and then where I made the sacrifice is like really hurting.
Right. I thought that if I work a job that I like during the day and then I hustle at night, that I'm going to be so charged up all the time that I can still stay frugal and stay smart with my money and then get to my goal.
Yeah.
And then obviously like some other shit went down with that anyway that was unforeseen for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I knew 2 weeks in, dude, I was like, shit, dude. I just can't work for people. Yeah. I just can't. I have to do it. And so this year for me, I hunkered down and I've gone all in on working a sales job that is like the direct polar opposite of like the most polar possible of what I've said that I wanted to do ever, so that I can just pour money into my goal. And what it really comes down to is I still have a big fat truck payment, right? I still have just overhead that needs to get out of my way. And so my plan was, although I'm ready for the jump mentally, and I feel like as an operator in my business acumen in every way, like I've proven concept for Crawl Space Audio of being able to bring in income, and I just need to get it quicker and have more time to do it. Everything's there, but I don't have a facility.
Yep.
And with that facility comes overhead. And with, savings or debt and all these other things that are there, in supporting someone else, I realized that I needed to get to a spot that made it so that I want to be invincible, dude.
Yeah.
And I want it so that like you're still doing the jump, in the sense that if I weren't to generate enough income within like say a 3 or 6 month ramp, then I still fail because I have to make income in that time.
But you definitely want to set yourself up as best as possible to not be like, oh, I could totally take care of this thing that will definitely fuck me if I don't take care of it.
Yeah.
Like, or if like circumstances happen.
I don't want like to be knocked out on the first punch.
Yeah.
I want 3 to 6 months of curveballs that I can't expect and being able to survive through them. And I wasn't at a spot that I could do it.
Right.
And so it's been about like, what can I do to just eat some more shit, put my head down, and get to that spot. And so I've come up with this plan of buying my next income property, house hacking and living in it, and having enough land around there, or a barn or something, some other structure that's already on the property, and turning that into the studio. So I would live in one half, rent out the other, and erase that. Build that studio with this income from the sales job, and then have no overhead for my business, and then make it so that at that point, what do I have to lose?
Right.
I can survive. You know what I mean?
and then I can survive in the basement and fucking eat your fucking table scraps. I'm just sitting down there, just like, Ryan, what are you doing? I'm doing a spot and working on my fucking.
Someone at the dinner table. What was that? Oh, it's my co-host. He runs around all over the place.
Get away from me! I just hissing people. I stay in the fucking shadows.
He puts all this shit on OBS. I don't know what he's doing.
It's just like, why is he fucking doing an Irish accent? Just leave it alone. Just you don't want to know. He's weird.
You know, you would make like the Smeagol, like you would actually talk like Smeagol. You probably can't you?
I definitely can. I'm not doing it right now though.
But it's
we're
like
trying to like stay serious. I mean, I did just say I was going to live in your fucking basement of your studio, but I would do that, by the way, if you let me. I'm wicked good at sleeping on couches of other people's couches.
Dude, there's probably going to be a lot of I see a lot of Planet Fitness showering in the future. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I definitely see like a little bit of that life for a couple months to like figure shit out. But at the end of the day, like we talk about all the time, like kind of focusing in and getting, uncomfortable. And we've just talked about a lot of things on the show that I wanted to talk back on this too, is like the point of this podcast was basically like to just watch the process of like what we're up to and then like navigate the process with people who are way past us, just starting and right with us.
Yep.
And this is part of the process is you should goal set, you should plan, and you should do a checklist, right?
Yeah, have to.
There's also shit that's going to happen that you can't prepare for. Life changes, and the things that you find important in life change, and you need to change the game plan to flow with it.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty much like if you're someone that has, is in their day job and like financially you're fiscally square, like you don't have a lot of debt, you're cool. You're cool financially, you're safe.
Yeah.
You're safe with time. Maybe you have time to do the side hustle and you want it and then you're not hustling.
Yeah.
Then it's like that person needs to put in work and then get out of there because they don't have anything. They have no reason why they're stuck there.
Right.
But themselves.
Yeah.
Flip side, it's like you can't just jump and then just get screwed. You need to put yourself in a position that the odds are in your favor where like maybe
calculated risk.
Exactly, dude. You got to mitigate the risk. And for that
like
person,
super calculated. And we did sit down and plan on like what we were going to talk about and like how you do need to delve into it with like, and when we say plan, I'm not talking like, 2020 resolution, you jotted down a few bulleted points that you're going to slightly stick to. I'm talking like you have a plan. Like we were talking about the concept of what are you going to do at your new job? And by new job, I mean the thing that you're going to be, that you want to be doing with your day. Like literally, what does it look like?
Where do you get income from?
It's like, what do you do? What do you do when you first wake up in the morning?
What's your overhead look like?
What are your priorities?
Yeah.
Like, what does an actual day-to-day look like? Like, what is do you have clients? Like, what does it look like interacting with them? Like, how often are you doing that? Like, you're doing, like, when it comes to so much, like, I even find myself, it's just like, well, I ask, like, well, how much time are you going to do for marketing? And how much time are you going to do for practicing? And how much time are you going to do for, like, learning? Like, how much time are you going to do for cold calling? How much time are you going to do to just actually sitting down and, like, doing booth time? Like, how much time do you want to take off of a break? Like, how many jobs are you looking to do per day? It's just like, and when you really, like, get, like, and that lets you know, what is your expectation? And then, like, when you have expectations and you have those kind of things and you have something to measure, and when you can measure it, you know how you're making progress and how you're making success and what it looks like. And, that's what a plan is, like, that's what, like, your new job would look like. And you, like, talking about the resource side of it, like, that's what another side of it that you're talking about is, like, the mental side. Am I even in the head space of this? And, like, I can kind of talk from mine where I can say right now, like, if I was to go quit my job tomorrow, my headspace, it isn't sound enough to, like, to set myself up to succeed. Like, I could see myself doing it, but sometimes, where you're at the moment in time, and this can be with money too. It's like you're just you're a house of cards waiting for a light breeze to knock it over.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, okay, you might be a structure for a little bit, but like you want to set it up. So it's just like really sitting down and like analyzing that, and what, like like you said, I can only really talk from being at the point where I'm like at the super beginning, where my only step that I've even taken about doing like quitting a day job is like the actual being like, oh, well, I think that I would like to do that at some point in time. And I like have a realistic goal where it was like, a year from now, I would like to be in a position where I can like realistically think about it.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. And it's like important to be like, remember where you are. Like my bad habit that I have, and kind of stemming off of what we were talking about, like the negative mental, is this idea of like must be happening now, have to be putting in 4 and 5 hours.
Yep.
You're not doing this.
You're not doing
this for 8 hours as soon as you come home from your day job, and you're not like not enough syndrome, like I'll call it, and like that can like get on you, because it can really. For me, sometimes I feel like I get that imposter-esque kind of feeling where I'm like, I'm not doing enough, so I'm just pretending that I'm a person who wants to do this.
Exactly.
And then I dead ass like disconnect my own desire to do this from reality. And then it's just like, oh, well, you want to do these things, and you can, and that you will, because you wouldn't be doing and engaging in all the things that you're doing if you weren't. But like you have this like ego movie that you're playing on in your head every once in a while, and like those are the things that come up, and that comes up financially, that comes up like another thing. I couldn't just quit my job right now because I have a significant other who is trying to go back to school relatively soon, and like it's going to be a situation like yours where it's going to be me, the incomes are going to shift a little bit. And that's like what another thing you have to take is like, hey, are you single? Like, I don't have kids. This is a time for me. It's just like, well, I have kids. Well, what does that look like if I have kids? And if I have, what if I have 2 part-time jobs? Well, what if I have a spouse that's kind of, or a significant other that's also trying to go for something that's kind of along the same lines as me? Like, how do we prioritize, whose stuff has relevancy? What takes part? Like, is it equal? Or like, for me, it was like, if it came down to being like, oh, well, you could do voice full time, but, Sarah wouldn't be able to go to school for another like 3 years or 4 years. I'd be like, well, I can do this for a shorter amount. Like, I can do this for a longer amount of time, but in shorter intervals to make that sacrifice for this. So it's like, there's a plethora of things that come into it. And, we talk about it all the time. It really is just about like putting your attention to it and engaging with it to, figure that plan out. And then it comes down to the question, like, where am I at? Can I quit? Like, can this stop? Like, is this realistic?
What is it? Yeah. Where am I at? And what is it that solves that issue?
Yeah.
Right. And like, and you just said a ton of stuff that like, I want to break down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So absolutely, I'm thinking that way because I'm married. You're basically married.
Yeah.
It's like, in that is a two-way street, right? Where, we have another episode talking about kind of navigating when both people in the relationship want to be an entrepreneur and trying to make it so that those work together instead of against each other, which is really fucking hard to do.
It's basically a one-way trip to end your relationship if you fuck it up.
It's hard, man. But once we settled on that, like, you do have an idea in your head of like where the weight's going to shift around, where like I knew when Meg said that she was going to go to vet school, the reason why I like first got like defensive against it is I knew that I needed to become a step per sec, right? I needed to become something that she could stand on for a little bit.
Which is hyper uncomfortable, because not only do you have to like deal with the litany of things that could possibly go wrong with you as an individual and all that like comes with it, but then you're like, oh, if I fuck up, like I'm fucking up for two people. Like,
That's right.
Like, I don't mind. Like, I can live with fucking up for myself because then at least it's on you, and you're like, all right, I
Exactly.
cannot live. But dude, there is something just so
I can
rattles me to my core to think about failing. Like when I think about like if I was to fail, like see, like and then in my definition of failure is when you just absolutely stop every and all things that like align with who you are as a person, like true quitting. Like that's
not
failing.
like 2 days out, like you just stopped.
No, like you're
You're
like
done.
yeah, I don't participate in these things anymore in this life. Like it rattles me to think that I was like, oh dude, if I just like failed and just became a failure as a human being, like for my partner, like I would be the world's biggest piece of shit.
Right.
And it's like it's motivating too.
It is motivating,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, it's making me be smarter than I would be,
Yeah.
right? Because I would be the guy that would be like,
Can you teach me how that happens?
I can't eat tonight.
Because I'm being an idiot still.
What do you mean?
Like still, like sometimes I just feel like I'm just like, oh, I can make better decisions.
Dude, it's just, I don't know. It just takes.
I mean, that comes with making better decisions is realizing that you need to make better decisions, right?
I guess so.
The first step is just noticing.
Yeah. Well, definitely, dude. You can't change what you don't see.
Yeah.
So I knew when Meg said that she wanted to go to vet school, we were going from dual income, both of us doing well. I knew that I had to get the fuck out of what I was doing, and I knew that what I was doing was making good money. I knew that her income was going to go away entirely. I knew when that happened that we were going to go into a spot where like I needed to lift her up a little bit, and then I needed to stall out a little, just in the sense that I knew I couldn't afford to for the financial pieces of like paying for gear or paying for space, like because I freelance, so I pay for time when I'm in studio, or paying for additional things. Like I knew that would slow me for a sec, right? But when Meg gets out of school, she's going to start working again. And then that's going to give me a lot of relief to be more risky than I have been. Like I'm going to be less risky for the next 3 years. And inside there, I still plan on launching. And what it's been is like, how do I get my finance to net zero? And then how do I make money from other things?
Mm-hmm.
And this year has been crazy, dude. Like I have learned a lot of navigating it. Like we got our first income property. That made it so that our cost of living for the two of us, like she has that house down there with renters in it. I live in this room, which is not perfect. Like it's definitely sucks to not have space and like go from living away and living with people again. Like it's not an ideal thing, but we were able to make it so that we don't pay anything to live for rent.
Yep.
We've zeroed it out. This year, with that same first property, we're probably going to be up like per month, making money off of living. And then I'm hoping to get our second income property and then not only make money monthly, but also not have any overhead for the cost of where my business is going to be at.
It's going to be a sweet spot.
That is the only way that in my mind I could figure it in all the different ways that I was thinking of shit. Of how do I do this while Meg is in school? And it doesn't mean that that's going to be easy. That's going to still be like
insane
rough.
Yeah.
Like it's still going to be real rough. And Meg is amazing where like she's troopered through all of it. Like she's troopered through the times where I'm like, we can't buy shit right now. We can't buy shit. And I haven't even taken the leap, you know? So like she's still amazingly supportive in the sense that like she's still there for the ride, and she's still saying like, I know that you're in this circumstance, but like I still support you to do this. But I guess like my biggest point of like doing this episode for people out there is it's almost like an episode talking to me like when I was like 24, 23 and still like I had just gotten like the spirit in me, like I'm going to do this like for real.
Right.
But I didn't have like, I didn't calm down enough to
you didn't like realism it. You didn't like put like the structure around it.
Yes.
And I think that's important is like, you can't lose that, like that fire.
You need the fire
that drives it. But like that fire needs to be like contained and like purposefully projected.
Yes.
Like you can't just let it go flying all over the place. Cause like, I mean, that's how I was. Like, just had all the gusto and all the interest and all of this in the world, and then just no, like, realistic, like, heading / plan. Like, just until recently.
Dude, fire doesn't
like,
do anything unless you contain it, right? Like, when you're, like, running, like, a locomotive or you're running, like, anything, right?
Yeah.
You need the fire to create energy, but if you just let it in the open, you can't use that to create anything.
Yeah.
It's just raw power,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It dissipates.
I needed to...
Dude, you saw the metaphor just, like...
Were you about to metaphor it out?
No, you metaphored me, and then, like, I saw you see it on my face, and I saw how excited that you got. You're just like, dude, he's a poet. That hit hard for him.
Oh,
I got him. And
dude, we met each other in a slam poetry class.
Yeah, dude.
We have to be metaphoring on people.
We did, dude. We had English class together back when we were just little youngins.
I guess for me, dude, like, after all this talk about shit, this episode and that realism or that understanding that I got this year, I wanted to say to younger me, keep that fire. But whatever you do, make sure that you're making choices and you're doing things to set yourself up for a long-term win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the way that I've been thinking about it lately, dude, is I'm not in this to just make nothing and not support my family and feel bad about shit in my room as a producer. Do I think that I could jump right now? I honestly think that I figured out how to monetize the audio things that I do, right? And I need to get more efficient with it. I also need to get better with a lot of things for it. But I think that I could survive, and I did have to survive on like 2 months this year off of that. That's amazing that I can be there. But what I've decided is I don't want to be someone that's like a 3-year, 5-year person, then fail, and then come back to something later in my life. I want bigger than that. And I want even bigger than, like, you know, I want to create things that are creating income without me being there only. Mm-hmm. And the audio stuff that I love to do, I need it to be a part of me. But I need to be able to create businesses and create assets that bring income in for me that don't take a 1-to-1 ratio.
Right.
And I want long-term success. It needs to be
like in like long-term steady increase.
I want to be 100 and die doing what I love. I don't want to go 5 years on fire and then burn out quick.
Yep.
That's what I want to tell younger me is, like, keep that angst, keep that fire.
Yeah.
But you need to channel that in and make it so that it's working for you and not just be that raw energy and just wherever the fire goes, it just goes to wherever it's at. It needs to be put into a space so that it can run an engine. Mm-hmm. It's not worth anything if you just have the raw fire, dude.
How have you been, like, something that I've, like, had to think about is, like, how to navigate, are you okay with, you know, it not working out for like 3 or 4 years or more, you know, like really working out, like in terms of like, you know, would you be okay with just doing this for part-time for a while? Or, you know, if the circumstances happened where, you know, you can't do it full-time because, you know, something like your partner going to school or getting a new job or life circumstances. And, you know, if you had to put it on hold and it's just like, well, yeah. Like, I can't.
For how much hold?
But dude. This is, I know, but like, I think you're misunderstanding me where it's just like, I'm okay with this, like taking a step back. It's like, I'm okay because for the first time in a while, things don't feel so like urgent. Where in the sense of, I'm trying to get away from the mindset of like, it needs to be done now syndrome. Where like, I have to build Rome by tomorrow or else I'm failing. And it's like I said about like you're really only failing when you're stopping, like completely.
I agree with that
I'm
too.
set it, and I in a way I feel like I vibe with you so hard about setting yourself up for like the eternal run almost.
Life of success.
Yeah, like a life of success where it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about like launching this business next month because I can still see myself doing this like 25 years from now.
Right.
And that's like I'm fine with taking the necessary and patient steps and sacrifices that come along with that in order to ensure that long-term success. And I don't know, like what, like people have, like you, I guess the question is just like, what would you like determine like long-term success would be? Like, how do you define that? And like, to me, it's just like, yeah, like you, it's just like, oh, if I can just die talking into a microphone, or find a way to take that business or that stuff and be able to create this kind of flourishing for myself and for the other people.
Yep.
Like, you know, and I know that you're the same way, where it's just, you know, if I succeed the best that I can succeed, then everybody who I'm around and touching, and all the communities that we're a part of, and all the connections that, you know, you've made, that I've made, that the podcast has made, or whatever, can be better because of it. And then past that, if that's how every individual can be, then we live in an objectively better world. And that's like something that's like good to think about. And so like, it's like, how did you navigate like being just realizing that it was going to be a little bit longer of a race than you had given it credit for? Like, did you ever find yourself being in that like short-term mindset where just like was college you like that, where it's just like this shit has to fucking happen like, dude, right now?
That
like,
didn't get fixed until a year, that didn't
Isn't
get
it
fixed.
crazy how like it took us until like we're like basically like 28 to start thinking like
that didn't get fixed until like 6 months ago. But it was like a we talked about it on another episode when we're talking about like how all in we are on like there's a path for you, and like, you know what I mean? Like we got really in on that, and like it happened in like a night, and now I feel like, don't get me wrong, dude. Like I'm still not patient in the sense of I feel like I have put in a good amount of time, a good amount of years of doing the full time in the side hustle, and I feel like I've changed a lot of things. I've gotten rid of a lot of things. I feel like I'm in the last portion of the
preparation and getting it all together kind of shit.
I feel like I'm in the later stages of the game, yes. But and I'm not patient in the sense that I'm aware of that. Like I do see the horizon, like I see it out there, and it makes me frustrated that I can see it and I can't have it during the day. Like, don't get me wrong, dude. Like there's a lot of times during my day where I just like sit there like blank looking through shit in an office and be like,
doing music instead. I'm gonna fucking kill myself if I sit here more.
That's the song I sing, dude.
I sit there all day, dude. You can ask any of my coworkers, this is the jingle. Do, 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 do. Gonna smash my computer into 1,000,000 pieces today. Da, ba, 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 ba. Like I have to be happy about it because I'm just like objectively frustrated.
You just like sit there and look through things and people, and like,
are you okay? Yeah, just don't dig into me right now.
Well, dude, sometimes I'm like I'm having a conversation with people, and then like I like everything's gone into like a blur, right? And I've literally stopped
people
listening.
Are like, you okay? Your face looks tight,
and my eyes like must like open up, and I've stopped listening entirely, and then I see their body movement change. Like they were like, this guy is fucking not listening to me. And then I come back to it and I'm like,
oh shit,
fuck, I gotta power through these last 3 hours here. I have to pretend like I'm cool right now. Like I have to. So don't get me wrong, dude. I'm not chilling during the day.
Those are the fucking throes, dude. The throes of desperation. I'm
not chilling during the day.
Oh, dude.
I usually do stuff on lunch, honestly.
But
I usually do things like where I either tap into like that course that I still haven't gotten through, or like I'm emailing people, or I'm doing something I'm on websites or analytics. I'm doing something on my lunch that makes me feel like I'm doing something towards it. And then I'm like, okay,
it's that
this
right
is
there.
why we're here. And it like levels it back out again. Like, and I'm like, okay. And then after, like, so I get that at lunch. And then afterwards, when I'm out, I'm already like on the way home. I'm either calling someone and talking about something and making a plan, or I'm doing something to like get ready for the night. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go write music tonight. I'm going to go perform. I'm going to go record someone. I'm going to go podcast. And like, I know in the beginning of the day when I'm writing my goals, I'm like, these are my goals. And I read and I fucking read back on what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I look for what I'm going to do in the next weeks, months, year. And I'm like, I know what's coming.
Mm.
I hit lunch and I reground again and say like, it's okay, man. You got it. Things are happening. And then I get out of work and then I go do it. And then the weekend I do it again. And that keeps it contained.
Dude, I can...
You know,
yes,
but it doesn't mean that the impatience has gone away. It just means that like it used to fuck with me.
In lieu of that impatience, you're doing things that's offsetting it by like staying.
It's
like,
under
sharp.
control. It's
Yeah.
under control.
You're just like,
whereas it didn't
I'm
used to
feeling
be.
like shit right now about this, so I'm actively doing something that's like, oh hey,
You're good.
This
You're
isn't
good.
gonna last.
You're doing everything you're supposed to do. You know, it's a financial
ever
equation at work of like, I know my income for the year. I know exactly what the income's going for. And I know that all I have to do, other than the things that I need to do to keep the art going on the outside, is you fucking have to show up there and you have to do that thing. And you have to do it for
Every
X
day.
amount of months and you
Every
have
day.
to do it. It's a fact. It's a financial equation where like I know what that money equates to.
Mhm.
I know it's in a line with things and I know I'm doing the right things with my time. And I just have to fucking do it, dude. And I
It gives
know
you
that.
Does it give you that like mental break where you're just like, oh, like I don't need to be as frustrated. I can
Yes.
still be frustrated. Did I ever tell you? Oh,
Yeah.
dude. Okay. Shout out to Drew Dunn right now, the comedian, the leader of the squad himself, Drew Dunn.
He said he never wants to be on our podcast. He says, fuck your podcast.
Yeah, he definitely told me that. He's like, I hate you. You're an idiot. I don't want to be on
Listen,
your
I
stupid
love you,
fucking
man, but I
podcast."
will not be on this podcast.
I learned one of the best things from him, and I got told this through one of his friends, and this is because we work together. One of his friends who this is how I met him, and we say this to each other all the time when we're just feeling the heat from that day, and the day job is just consuming you, and you sit there and you know what, hey, dude, it's fine. You want to know why? It's our last fucking day today. And we just keep, dude, I don't need to worry about my day today. You want to know why it's my last fucking day? and that's what we say. He's just like, yeah, dude. Anytime that we would just be having a shitty day with each other, because he used to work with them, and he's just like, every day that we were having a horrible day, it was just awful. Dude, the fuck, no sweat, dude. It's my last fucking day today.
Oh my God.
And eventually, dude, it's your last fucking day. And for him, it was. And now he's crushing it, dude. He's just like, I kept telling myself, it's my last fucking day today. Don't sweat it, dude. Just keep doing your shit. It's my last fucking day.
I don't know if that would help me, dude.
Yep. I don't know, dude. I think it takes away... Why it works for me is because I fall, and me personally, I go in between, like, the spectrum of, like... hyper invested in like serious about life and like a lot of different aspects of it.
Yep.
And then just like flopping in between, just like, yeah, fuck it.
Right. Dude,
you know what I
me
mean?
too.
And like finding that nice balance between like, because there really does have to be this aspect of like, fuck it towards a lot of things.
You have
because
to, dude.
if you are serious about everything,
You'll die.
You'll die, dude.
You'll die.
And I find myself feeling like I ought to be more serious about a lot more things. And for me, a statement like that, as a person who is genuinely like, we can sit here and talk and be serious and whatnot, but like for the most part, you know me, dude. I'm a genuinely silly, goofy
You're a clown,
dude.
Clown,
dude. Like, cannot believe that some teachers did not quit their fucking jobs. Clown, bro.
Shout out to Mr. G, dude.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Mr. G, the homie.
All right. Yeah.
Down in Washington, D.C., killing it.
Yeah, I know. Hell yeah.
But something like that for me, like, takes away that weird serious tone that I kind of trick myself into being into sometimes, and it takes the tension out of the shoulders and it takes some of the weight off a little bit, and it allows like that loosey goosey kind of like laissez-faire creativity to flow a little bit more. And when I have that feeling, like things flow better. Like my thoughts are clearer, my actions are less frantic and, awkward, everything has like this level of cohesion to it. And so to think about it too, where it's just like sometimes that day job, it seems like it's infinite. And,
Yes.
and then it seems like it's infinite because it's awful, or another thing that happens to people is they get lulled into a sense of complacency where they get comforted by like that nice paycheck and that cushy office job and those days off and the this and the that. And yeah, it just like, it lets you know that sense of infinite, like that never endingness is not true, and that it'll be done. And when it's done, something else is going to happen after that. And if something else that's going to happen after that is going to be good and it's going to be the thing that aligns with you, like there's stuff that has to be done. And so that, like, saying that in my head, dude, not only does it like engage me back to my life,
but it's like, this isn't infinite.
Some Jake LaSpinato shit. If the homie Jake LaSpinato's watching right now,
I'm training with him this year.
I'm so excited to hear that. Like getting some, like going back to like my silly kind of like joyful, playful nature of like, that's who I am. And like, I've kind of only had to skew that because I've had like obliged to, like societal norms or job, stuff, which is why, working for yourself is so like enticing in a way, because you have that, and it's like that. Okay, so that permanence is going to be gone, and then eventually, like, you can have that next thing that it's like, it's you. You don't have to conform to whatever bubble you get put into. Like, you don't operate under anybody else's rules,
right?
But your own. And so that it's held me to that. And with that, talking about our plan making, the way that I've been like counteracting that kind of like egoic, like, you're not doing enough, you're not doing this in the meantime, is doing something _something fucking 100 times, something every day that has to do with voice. And dude, it doesn't have to be 4 hours of work every day. Sometimes it's as simple as like, I'm engaging in some of my new modules of information and with my mentorship.
Right.
Or it's, reading up on some marketing skills, or it's watching a live stream of my coach work with one of his clients, or watching something about like the booth work, or sitting behind the mic and, getting some dry reps in, or working on a demo, or something a little bit more.
It makes it more manageable,
because it's like, shit,
with what you expect of yourself.
Like, I didn't waste my day today. Today wasn't one of those days where I went to my day job, got my soul sucked out of my ass, and then went home and complained about getting my soul sucked out of my ass, and went to bed and did it again the next day.
Oh.
Like, dude, I did something in lieu of the shittiness that you have to take in the now to make sure that investment happens over time.
That's right.
Like, you have to, and you have to have that mindset where you're just like, I'm taking these licks right now. Like, I'm taking like shots on the chin by working at this job that definitely is not serving me. Just like you, dude.
Head down.
Dude, you do not. It really is.
Seriously,
it really is. It's like
I'm in the morning and I've got
my fucking head down. I'm going to work. I'm shutting my mouth. I'm crushing my job objectively. I'm staying out of the fucking, I'm staying out of everybody's way. I'm minimizing the amount of mistakes that I make, and I'm not fully investing myself into a place that's going to not serve me. Like, I have a very clear and concise conceptualization of what this place and this is serving me right now, and I do things on the back end to ensure that the shit that I'm taking right now is not permanent.
Right, like 2 or 3 episodes before the new year, we did an episode on desert island goals, and basically like keeping things simple, dude. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like what important. Are you trying to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
What things do you have to do finite that accomplish that? And what do you generally have to do? And then inside there blocks out everything that you shouldn't do. Right?
And then under those, that's when the specificity starts happening.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
so like my day job, dude, like I was saying earlier, is math. I have a certain amount of income that I'm going to get. I'm literally like, I've gotten it granular to like looking at my tax and my deductions for healthcare, and I know the math, and I know what I need to get done with those this year to get me the assets that put me in the next spot next year, and that's set in place, right? And then when I'm inside that space, I'm just like you, where like I'm not a bad person, dude. I want to perform and be the best person that I can when I'm there. So like obviously I have times like that where like I'm just like dying in it, but for the most part I'm there, I'm attacking it. I'm trying to be uncomfortable there, but I'm also trying to just stay focused there, and I'm not trying to go out in some way that's going to drain me out so I can't perform in my other thing later at night or on the weekends. And so the math is there and the time is there. You have X amount of time, X amount of finances. Where are you allocating that at? Why are you doing that? And what's that get out of your way or put in place to make you succeed in the other spot? Everywhere else is every other micro goal that I'm doing to set up those other things, right? Doing more audio, getting more, saving more time in the project so that they just take less time, making it more efficient with how I'm doing my books, getting better with like legal things with property so that things are safer, like just everything in
so efficiency. You don't have some random how good does it feel when you have like 16 jobs that you got lined up and deadlines are coming up, and then all of a sudden some shit goes down at your house because you had something that you could have solved 6 months before, but you decided to not dig fully into and cover all your bases.
Right.
It's again with the specificity.
I built a lot kind of quick, not really quick, but like a lot of things got built quickly, and now like they're not as efficient, or they're leaking somewhere financially. Like something needs to be solved, like something could be cheaper, and like or like when things happen, it derails me where it shouldn't have to be, and there should be processes in place and people. And so a lot of that, and like maybe we'll just take another episode to even talk about that when I actually get better at it myself. But a lot of that has been figuring out, for me to get to the next spot, I have this amount of time and this amount of finances that are allocated. So I have to do something in that time.
Yep.
And in that time, my job is to make it so, okay, you got from this to this level. Now, the only way that you can get to the next spot now is to make it so that all of those have something in place to make it so that you don't get derailed in the next spot. I don't want to get derailed by a knockout punch financially. So that means that I have to have 3 or 6 months of my pay saved up somewhere in an egg, that if the world falls apart, the economy gets fucked, my income property gets fucked up. Like I need something in place that like, if plans don't go right, if I fail, I'm not put out. I'm not done,
Because being done sucks.
Or like, even like those 2 months, dude, done. I had a very real, and I think I already shared this on the podcast, I had a very real look of like what it looks like to be in the country without healthcare. And I'll tell you what, man, it is a very real thing to not have an income coming in, to be supporting other people, and then to not have health care, and then have an issue where you might have to go and you have to literally decide, do I go to the hospital and do I get a bill that's so big that I'm fucking sunk, right?
Like for a really long period of time.
Not just a couple of years. I'm literally done for maybe my life. Maybe my whole life gets stopped from this thing right now. And when I saw that, like, for me, it wasn't that bad. It was never going to be that. But like, I saw an instance of like, oh, this is how people really get fucked when they didn't really do many things wrong in life, because of just the way that it happens in our market, in our country. We're set up in a way that like that 100% can happen, and you need to be aware of that, and you need to do things to make it so that you and your family are able to survive that time, right? So like getting 6 months ramp, getting rid of overhead, things that like should not be your overhead, like my truck, getting things like that are an overhead that just should not be in your way, so that you can maneuver and take the risks that you need to take when you're there. You need to take risks after you've jumped. You need to take even more risks than ever. And I just saw a post the other day, actually just today, from Tanner from Portland Pod. We met him at the podcast meetup. Dude, he showed a picture of his bank account when he started Portland Pod. It was negative $770. Right? The reason being is because he had to invest in shit when he was starting out, even more than he had ever anticipated. And it paid out, and he's crushing it. But like he was talking about, like, I also have a ton of shit that I deal with that's really hard. So like, people, I just want you to know that. And like, I guess like it's really like you're going to keep taking risks. Like that you have to do your best to push yourself and think like in every scenario, you know, say you start going into income property or you're starting your business or you're doing anything, you have to expect the worst. You cannot, when you're running your numbers on something,
everything's going to be
can
fine.
I buy this property? Can I do this? We all need to take risks, but you can't expect that things are going to go like the ideal situation. Ideally, you know, we can afford this house because I should be making this in commission on your day job, right? And then you fucking don't make commission and then you can't afford the house.
Yep.
You're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you know, I should be able to do this because I've done this. And then if you don't have any net at all, then you might sink yourself long enough to put yourself out for too long to be able to do the thing. Whereas relevant. Like I want everyone to when they do it, I don't want like a suit coat coming back on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm out,
like some flash in the pan shit.
I'm out. When I'm out, I'm out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Dude, when the suit comes off, the suit comes off.
When the suit comes off,
it's fucking burning. Put my beanie on.
That suit comes off, bro. You know, I'm not coming to any weddings dressed up. I'm not, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know what I would have to do for me to be back in those drawers.
You'd look good though. It's not for me, man. Punk ass, man. We're just punk asses. Stress.
Just a couple punk asses,
yeah,
dude.
Dog.
Punk ass podcasters.
Just a couple of punk ass podcasters. That's all we are. Trying to just talk. Trying to help people out. Trying to make a damn simple living, you know what I mean? I think dude, how do you feel about people's like kind of like values nowadays with like how much they think they need? I think people think that they need too much. I think the best thing that I've ever some of the best things that I've ever learned in life are how to be more simple, how to just like enjoy simpler things.
Yeah,
and so many of them have like come away from like having money. Like, don't get me wrong, dude. Like, my goals like are to make money, like doing these things. But like, I mean, I fucking love doing voice, and I have like my goals to do it. But like, coming from being somebody who has like basically lived their entire life like either poor or not so well off, it's just like, yeah, I would love to just not have the burden and the stress of financial woes upon me.
Well,
but the simplicity of like life, dude, where it's just like, man, I just want to have like my little property where I can just have my damn garden with my wife and my front porch and my dog, and be a part of a little community that I can, you know, help engage in and like do my part in with just little overhead in terms of like money and in terms of like how much I use and how much space I take up and like my impact on things. Like, I want to have a net positive impact like on all like facets of life. And I think that coming from that kind of simplicity, like what have you like done that's kind of like been something like that? Like, what do you think about some shit like that? Are you just a money bags? You want some big fat money bags?
Yeah.
Well, dude, those dolly bills, dude.
I like the way that like at that Nourish Mindful event that I was just at, right? For those of you that don't know, check out George and Sydney's episode. I think it's like episode 14 or 15.
Yeah, they were
with Nourish Mindful events. I got to finally go to one of their events.
That was one of the first like web ones that we did.
Yeah, it might have been the first Zoom one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I went to it, and George, when we were like talking about like visions for the year or whatever, right? George was saying that you can't think of money as the root of all evil, because even though, of course, it inspires people to do the wrong things, money is just a different variation of energy, and the way that it's moved puts energy into things, whether it's good or bad, right? Which is that's true.
Yeah. It's just another resource, tool, medium, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Something that takes one state and brings it to another.
And so,
but it does it in like a transactional way.
I don't think that you can do as much good. You can do more good with more money.
Yeah. Because
you can have more of an impact. Even if, like, say you want to live a simple life and you want just to take money that you're making and give it to charity. whatever.
Just gives away money.
Sure.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
it doesn't matter. So, I mean, like,
Dude,
it's obviously...
I would love to do that.
In anyone's business, you should always be striving to make money, right? But at the same time, I went from coming out of college with like a Jeep that was like burning on fire on the highway, no money, right? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, like
Then I went
shit.
to dual income, and both Meg working down in Boston in biotech and me working like a higher end sales leadership job. We're making good money, like definitely like decent money, like no doubt, right? And being able to make those choices of what we wanted to buy, we could buy. Not like we weren't rich, but we were
Not
just
money
doing
bags,
well,
but like,
right?
Yeah.
Then going back from that down to single income, down to like I spent 3 months like this year with zero income, you know, like and having it be at the point where like I had absolutely nothing, I could buy nothing, I had no choices on anything, right? And then coming back and like I'm just getting back in motion of like things are like kind of in between the two because I'm still single income, but this is like a decent spot, right? Going up and down like that, huge polar up and downs, like not close at all, like roller coaster ride for the past 6 years, or more. I've just learned that like I really don't give a shit about things at all, dude.
Like so many things.
I just don't care if I wear the same.
And it's not like apathetic, right? It's like indifference. It's just like this just does not matter to me.
It's just
dude.
not doing something positive or negative for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just, like, if I had to wear I wore the same jacket when I was making money as when I didn't, right? I ate the same things
Also the same fucking
as I
music
did
act,
and as
same
when I
way,
didn't,
the
right?
same
I was
fucking
doing
friends.
the same things, man. And
it's all you, dog.
And the only thing that I'd say is that, like, the more stuff that you have, the more problems that you have. Because if you have 5 ATVs, you got to fix every one of them. If you have
Insurance.
10 cars,
Yeah.
you got to register every one of them at probably different time, you know.
Dude, I know what you mean because I find myself feeling so like frustrated by the tediousness of certain things. Like I'm just like fucking AAA sending me something in the mail about reinstating my insurance. Like this is so fucking annoying. It's like, why is this real life, dude? Like, why does this?
How about that?
I was like, this has never mattered to me, dude. Like, this has never fucking mattered to me. Like, get like these bills in the mail and the these and the that and the wearing the suits and all. I don't know, dude. It's just like, yeah, this has never struck me as what is important in the short amount of time that we have here.
Yeah,
and it's just like it feels nice to finally be putting yourself in a position where you're like, yeah, I could finally be somewhere. Or I can actually be like, yeah, it's just actually just doesn't fucking matter to me. I'm choosing to not. And I mean, obviously, like, I'm not talking about like, yeah, don't pay your car insurance bill. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying where it's like, I want to get to a point where my focus is able to go to like all of the things that are important instead of just like those noisy things. And you're right that some stuff that exists on that tangible level. It's just like, yeah, you have these things, but you also have all the stuff that goes with the things.
So like the things that have made the most impact, right?
Yeah.
Is for a long time, if I wanted to stop and have a coffee, I didn't have the right to make the decision to spend money on an extra like that because it wasn't part of like what I needed for food, right? I literally the other night bought a $2.34 coffee because I fucking felt like it. And that made that felt so good. I was like, dude, I can drive by a place and then just based off of my immediate want, I can do something simple that's not part of my weekly groceries because I have the income to make a decision like that. That had more impact on me than having the ability to buy whatever, like literally a new TV or any, like none of that has ever had, like it feels good like when you buy the new TV. There's no doubt that a new TV is better than this TV, right? Yeah. There's no doubt that that would be a more enjoyable thing, right? Yeah. But it doesn't have more of an impact to me than like a week of feeling it and then you just get back into the norm of it. Whereas like very simple things that are really just based off of like, do I feel comfortable that I can make decisions and not be scared?
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I love and that I need.
Like,
in
I want to
my
get my
life.
scared ass feelings and my uncomfortability from like other
For
things that are
finance.
engaging me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
on a different level, other than just like, oh, if I don't pay this, then something's gonna
I
happen.
don't want to
me or
wake
some
up
shit, yeah.
afraid and wake up scared.
Yeah.
And then past that, I just don't know that there's a lot more that I need, dude.
Yeah.
You know? So
So
don't
think about.
quit your day job unless it's the right decision for you. Don't pay attention to other people on social media. Look at your finances, look at your goals, and
Make
then
your
make a
damn
decision in a plan on what serves you in your life is really the key takeaway for this one. If you weren't thinking that way, that's how I've been thinking. That's all.
Yeah, it's like just growth mind, activity mind, just do something every single day, write down as many things as you can when you have ideas or when you have little goals, and just keep checking yourself and pay attention. Write that damn plan down.
Before you wreck yourself.
Chickadee, chit, check yourself.
All right, peace, dude. Can't.
I love you all.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up episode 40 of the Waking Up From Work podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us to kick off your new year. I hope everyone has some awesome goals this year that they're after in a really tangible way. So next week, we're actually going to go super polar to this with someone who just took the jump almost in a very, like, you know, off the cuff way to some degree. He's going to explain it a lot more. We're going to talk to Simon Taylor, who, if you don't know him, he just designed the shirts for Podcast New Hampshire. That's how we met him. And he also designs stuff all over the place. He lives up in Maine. And we're going to talk to him about his recent jump. He's like 2 weeks into it. So this is real fresh emotion and thought for him to bring out. And the week after that, we're going to be talking to my friend Aaron, who is a events coordinator, to talk about creating and making and planning events. And the only reason I bring that up to this audience is because I think there's a huge opportunity in creating events for smaller things. For one example, I'm working on making some type of event at some point for this community. I just have to get to a point where it makes sense. Hopefully find a location that would make sense and a topic that would make sense. So there's a lot of thought and work that has to go into that. It's not anytime soon, but I will surely let you know. But say you have, I don't know, any type of business really, like for Crawl Space Audio. I think it makes sense to have events where you're teaching people to do audio or teaching people to podcast. Maybe you're like Ryan and you're a voice actor. Maybe it makes sense to have some type of event where you have people come over and you work through that in some way, or other people from different parts of that process come together. I just believe really in connecting with people. Thus my Facebook group, Connecting Creatives, right? And I thought that would be good for us. So we're talking a lot of stuff like that. We will have show notes on this. Go to wakingupfromwork/show notes. And there's a couple of other things there too. We'd love to have you hang out with us and see more of what we have to offer on there. If you want to check out audio advice or information, go to crawlspaceaudio.com. And if you want to support us, you can go to Patreon, check out Waking Up From Work, or on any social, it's going to be at Dave Wake Up or Waking Up From Work podcast. Super happy to have you guys. Have a killer week, and I will see you on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Peace.